Hey, you.
Over here, Agent.
Slayer. Yo, what's up?
Hey, over here.
Cursed one.
Hello and welcome to Ctrl Alt WoW, the podcast for those of us who love virtual reality and love making many alts and experiencing virtual reality to its fullest. Of course, this used to be the podcast for playing World of Warcraft, but I'm AprilPvd and I have moved on. In some ways, I still miss World of Warcraft, but today is Tuesday, May 16th, 2023, and this is episode 795 entitled, I Found My Home in Zenith. So yeah, it's no longer a WoW podcast, but it's still me, and I'm still being an altaholic. And this week has been so much fun. So we're going to start with the fact that the patch is live. Skies, and this is in Zenith, the last city, and Skyward Summit is the name of the patch. And it is live. It went live last week on the 11th. And right after last week's episode, we were talking about the beta, and that was a lot of fun. I'm going to be going into exactly what I've been doing this week, but first I'm going to do my little VR journey segment. And on October 12th, 2020, now last week I talked about Rec Room and Rec Royale, and I probably should have talked about some of the other games I played in VR at that same time that were of a similar type. You know, the jumping out, landing, finding supplies, killing enemies. I had to pause for a moment to go and look at my purchase history. And I'm almost sad because I'm looking at the tokens I bought for Rec Room, and I'm looking at the different games that I brought. Prior to Population 1, which I'm going to go into in a few minutes, I had brought something called Carnage Chronicle, which was a lot of fun. It was almost like a wave shooter, although you did jump from space to space. So it kind of reminded me of House of the Dead that I played at the arcade. So that was fun, and in VR it was even more fun. Then there was Echo Combat, Standout, and Contractors, and I brought those all in the same 3-week period. Echo Combat, which, you know, I think they stopped publishing recently. But Standout was a battle royale that was similar to Rec Royale, and it was really good, but I think my problem was that I didn't have a good enough computer for it. What I need to do is go back in now with the PC I have and the 32 gigs and try it again. But it had a lot of neat things. For instance, you jumped down, you went to find stuff, and there would be things like skateboards, a motorcycle. There was a balloon that you could take up and go from place to place. And of course, it was very much in the Hunger Games thing where the area in Rec Royale, where the area would shrink, and it would put you closer with the people you were playing with, just like in Population 1. I then went on to buy Zero, Caliber, Moss, Republic VR, and Orbis Reborn. Now, Orbis Reborn was supposed to be a World of Warcraft replacement. It really never came to fruition. I also bought National Geographic Expedition, which is gorgeous. You are a photographer and you're going through all these different landscapes. You start in the Antarctica, you go to Machu Picchu, you go to different places and you take pictures. And what's that? Air Combat. Some of these I still own. Ultra Wings, which was a flying game. Paint VR. I still have that. And The Climb. But and Sports Scramble. Sports Scramble is great. I used to play that a lot before I played Population 1 to get my exercise. Although the basic premise of it was that you would end up with different kinds of, like instead of a bat, you would get a pool noodle, or instead of a a regular tennis racket, you'd get some huge thing. And they had bowling and baseball, but you could turn off all the crazy things, and the physics of pitching and playing tennis was very realistic and good exercise. But then I got into the beta for Population 1, and that was so much fun. It was the beta was actually 1 to 2 hours a day, set up on a schedule. And if you didn't log in during that period, you didn't get to play. So, crazily enough, what I ended up doing was scheduling my life around those 1 or 2 hours. It was clunky. There were a lot of glitches, but it was a lot of fun. I don't know if you've ever played Population 1, you will know. It is fun. You go out, you find your weapons, you team up. One of the things that was happening for me particularly was that my neighbors could hear me. Because you would be shouting, over there, there's one over there, dun, dun, dun. You know, it was voice chat. It was really a lot of fun. I played that from October, the last day of the beta was October 12th, 2020. I'm putting a link in the show notes to one of the one times they had solo back in the day. And I did a lot of videos on Population 1. In fact, it was my thing for the longest time. And the only thing that took me out of it was Zenith, basically. I played it up until Zenith really took hold of me. And Population 1 was a lot of fun. Last year, I remember being on the cruise for my retirement and my 60th birthday, and I had gotten to level 59. And each level you got skins, and oh my God, did I do a lot of stuff with the skins. I spent a lot of money on skins, and but the golden PJ. So there were different characters, and then different characters would get different outfits. And this one reward for getting to level 60 was this golden jacket on the PJ, and was like this Medal of Honor, this badge of honor. You had that jacket, you were playing in the game. People knew that you knew, well, they thought you knew that you knew how to play. Of course, me being a noober, I've always been a noober, which is what we termed in World of Warcraft on Ctrl Alt WoW about you're Uber, but you're still a noob. So you're a noober. And I would play, and I wouldn't always be perfect. And it was sometimes frustrating because, you're out there playing to have fun. And of course, there's always those guys that we say are in their mother's basement and they have 24/7 to play. And they have a way of developing skills. And then eventually there were people who claimed that people were hacking. I don't know. You can get good enough. And I've seen certain people on Twitch. Sumachi comes to mind. Zoloft. That were just, they would go in and they would just bing, bing. They would get the sniper. They would take you out. That would be, it to me didn't seem fun. If you had that level of skill, the Population 1 setup was not the same as Contractors or Call of Duty, for lack of a better comparison. Or there's another one out there that was really good. Pavlov. They're more like, they're called real sim. So they're more geared towards people who have that type of skill and want that type of play. I don't know. I enjoyed it up until a point where I felt like I was no longer creating something. Oh, and just to go on with my show notes, I'm putting a link. I had a lot of fun. I played it constantly. I really did. I even, I kept a headset at work in my locker so that I could play it during my lunch period and my breaks. And even one time I played it on a train. I happened to be on a train where I was the only person in the car. Otherwise, I don't think I could have done it. And I have a link in the show notes of my video. Of course, this was back when you recorded on the Quest, you didn't have a landscape or a widescape view. You only had the narrow view. But it was still fun. And I have to say, I have gone back in, I don't know how to put it, but it's just not fun for me anymore because I don't feel like I'm building something. And it just feels like I'm going in, and depending on, the people you're playing with, you're either starting over at the basic level and getting totally just squashed, or you're squashing someone else. They had a problem with the matchmaking, but I don't see how the matchmaking could even work because it would all depend on your previous playing. And sometimes I could play and be perfect, and sometimes I could play and suck. I don't know if there is a solution, but, it just stopped being the game for me. And I moved on to Zenith, and I haven't looked back. Hence the title of my of this episode. I found my home in Zenith, and figuratively and literally. And I have to say that the update has been absolutely gorgeous. And I want to do a shout out to Raymond VR because they did a really, really good job. Of course, when it first started, there was a lot of glitches and a few issues. But I have to say, as the days have gone by, the glitches have been less and less, and I am loving my apartment. So last Wednesday, let's start off with this. I was so excited. I was hopping between the beta and the live version, and because after trying the housing in the beta, I knew I would need more money for once the game went live. The apartment has several rooms, and you can just buy one. You could just buy the house. The apartment itself is $5,000. It's one room, and for some people, that might be just perfect. I think the next room was 10,000, and I'm trying to think, was the other room 10,000? And then one room, the far left room, was 500,000. And then there's one room in the back to get the whole place is 2 million. So I started going crazy on the live version because I wanted to make money. I went to Emerald City and I turned in the Essence Seed quest. I realized I had a bunch of these seeds and that I did something that in retrospect I didn't realize wasn't smart. I actually stopped doing a lot of quests because my main tunes were all level 40 and I'm like, what do I need to go and do any more quests? I'm at maximum. If I stopped doing the agent rank because I had maxed that out. I could do them, but I wasn't really getting that much from them as far as Zen. But I hadn't realized something. And when I realized this, it was like, poof. This explosion went off in my brain. When I turn in any quest, even though I'm no longer leveling my tune, I'm leveling my godstones. And every time you level up a godstone, depending on the godstone, you get points to use towards tweaking that godstone. You could get points that would take out, reduce the cost of the resources. You could turn down the cost of the cooldown on that particular skill. It was crazy because when I started realizing that I had actually been wasting time. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad I spent the time I did prior to this patch coming out doing NeoWare and doing Sunshine. Because as you know from the last couple of episodes, I was big on the cosmetics. I'm kind of glad I did that because I've gotten my looks down that I love. I love the look of my Blade Master. I love the look of my Essence Mage. I'm very pleased with the cosmetics I've gotten. And, but I now have the time to level up my godstones, and this will make me a better player and able to. I haven't even gotten into raids. I have not even gotten into raids. So at this time now, I'm trying to get more money. I was also making a load of orange rabbit smoothies because of the community challenge that we had last week. And when I talked about it, we had to get the title Sylphid Slayer. We had to kill so many sylphids. Those are those little blue guys. Somebody calls them the Avatar guys. And we had the idea of getting the dingbo, the spring dingbo, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But that involved capturing so many pets, and I went out and threw that Pokemon ball so many times. And when we had gotten to the maximum, and each one of those actually took 24 hours, about 24 hours, and then it was the Orange Rabbit Smoothie Challenge. Now, this one was a little bit more difficult, but the result or the reward was the hat that Brim wears in Nexus. It's a cooking hat, and I love it. We've gotten it, and I love it on the tunes that didn't already have cosmetic hats. But it involved two really hard things: cooking and gathering. So when it wasn't really that big from my Blade Master because my Blade Master had her Pandowl hat that she got from the Winter Festival, and my Essence Mage had the cool cap, and I'll put the pictures in the show notes from the Sunshine event. But if you were into, if you didn't have those, the chef's hat was really cool. But like I said, it involved to make an orange rabbit smoothie, and I put a video in the show notes. I put a video on my YouTube channel before about it, but you had to have milk, which you buy at the store. You had to have 2 oranges, which you can buy in the store too, but they are prolific. They're everywhere. There's lots of trees in fractured plains, in Galleon Valley. So there were a lot, and I had a lot because I would always, every time I saw it, I went past a tree, I would pick oranges. But the other thing you needed was carrots. And even though one of my Blade Master had over 100 carrots, she went through those pretty fast. And my other tunes didn't have carrots, or had some and went through them. I must have made over 300 orange rabbit smoothies, which entailed putting milk in the pot, letting that cook. While that's cooking, chop up 1 carrot, put that in the pot, let that cook, and then chop up 2 oranges. And then once the carrot, and I was timing it, if I could do it just right, by the time I chopped my last orange, the milk would have cooked and the carrot would have just cooked. And I would put both of those in, and I'm making the motion. I'm sitting here making the actual motion. It's crazy. Put both of those in the cauldron, and you got a smoothie, an orange rabbit smoothie. It was good to have because I think it gave you some rage, some health, and maybe some crit. I'll put a screenshot in the show notes. But it was a good thing to make. But I ended up making so many of them, and they took time because unlike, and again, I'm gonna bring World of Warcraft in it. Unlike World of Warcraft, where you're basically just clicking a button on the screen, and doing this, you had to actually put it into the pot, let it cook, and then combine the ingredients. Okay, so on Thursday, I had gone back in to look at the housing. Again, this was Thursday morning, and I had an idea. This was still in the beta, and I had an idea that I didn't want to be in my house and see the part of the house that I could not access and that I could not modify. If you want to change the color of your wall, you were stuck with the wall of the $2 million part. But I came up with the idea of walling off that part, because you can put in walls. So I would just wall off the part that I couldn't access, and then I would be able to see my own home. And when I went into beta and saw that it would work, I was so excited. So around 11:30 on Thursday, we got a notice that the patch was dropping, but that there would be a 3-hour maintenance and all the shards would be down. It was exciting because my headset had updated, or was saying it was updating. So I let it update the Quest 2 headset. The Oculus and Steam versions did not update, but I wasn't too worried because I could play on my headset. It turned out that it was just patching back to the live from the beta. It wasn't the actual update. At 1500, we got the announcement that the servers would be down for another 30 minutes. This was agony for me because I do a Perry Mason podcast. It's called the TCOT podcast, which stands for the case of which almost every Perry Mason episode starts with that. And we record on Thursdays, and At first, I was like, maybe I should do it earlier. Maybe we should do it on a different day. But then I thought it would be better to go ahead and record the episode and not jump in right as the server was booted back up, because there's always issues. I have been in a lot of these server things where the game starts. World of Warcraft was famous for this, where there would be issues. So I never want to be the first one out the door. So I recorded the podcast. We started recording at 4 p.m. And by then the servers were up and I was trying to focus. I think I did a good job. I focused on the podcast, but my mind was with Zenith. And what I normally do with any podcast is that I like to edit it right away, because just like dishes or anything else, I don't like to have something sitting on the back of my mind going, it's, you have something you have to do. But this one time, once we finished recording, I put on my headset and I walked my dog and I set the headset to update. I set the PC programs to update and I walked my dog and I came back and I jumped right in. Oh my God. For the next few hours, I played. I didn't stream because I didn't want to stream a buggy interaction. I just wanted to play and I wanted to enjoy it. But I had a blast. The first thing I did was the first hour in game. I didn't even go into Skyland. I didn't do anything. I just went to my apartment. I didn't go to the new area yet. All I did was go to my apartment. And I spent the first hour just buying every room I could. Then the last room on the left, right before you buy the $2 million room, I couldn't buy it because it was $500,000. At first I was going to go and hop on another character because I was on AprilPvd Asterisk, which is my Blade Master. And she's my richest one. She's the one I've played the most. And she didn't have enough. So I thought, what can I do? And I realized you can sell your pets. I forgot about that. I don't know why I forgot. But I ended up going and selling all my pets, and I ended up getting up $300,000 from selling my pets. It's the ones that you capture. You don't have to keep them in your inventory. They do not affect your actual ability to summon your pets or anything else. So you can sell them. So I went to the store next to Brim, which is also the place where you can pick up your chef's hat. You're welcome. During that whole period of making those orange rabbit smoothies, one of the frustrating things was watching other people play and not make smoothies. Some people didn't know how. Some people didn't have the patience. And some people just didn't want to. But those same people still got their chef's hat. So I ended up making enough money to go and buy the other room. And so I went in, I fooled around a little bit with putting up the walls. There are some techniques, and I would advise you to look at Red Devil Studios and Easy Community. They both have excellent, and I'll put links in the show notes. They have excellent videos about player housing. Much better than anything I could do. I did do a little tutorial, but mine is so basic. And theirs are so much better. And I ended up being able to go back, buy that other room, put those walls up. I didn't do a lot because I knew that I would have to figure out how to decorate, what color, all the other things, and what I'm going to actually put in the rooms. And we'll go more into what I've been doing a little bit later on. But first, I went to Skyland, and I love it. It's good. It's wonderful. There are little issues. and I'm not talking about lag issues and stuff. Those, they are working out. I mean, when I played last night, it was so stable. The interesting thing was that I've been logging in on low pop servers because I wanted less stability. And that's in contrast to last week when I was looking for high pop servers because I wanted to do NeoWare and the Sunshine events. But the thing that I'm most concerned about Skyland, and that I love it, but it is it's a building thing. And the two things that I love about this new patch and about Zenith is that I've always felt like I was building something. Even my character, I'm getting cosmetics, I'm building my specific Godstone setup. I am doing Blade Master and learning the specific roles. So unlike Population 1, where I just felt like I was going in and just fighting and each time I go in, I'm like fighting anew. And even though the thing that attracted me to Population 1 was that it was you and what you could do and how you could do it, that was interesting. Whereas like in World of Warcraft, if you didn't have a certain amount of equipment, or if you didn't have this thing or that thing, or if you hadn't gone through that certain instance, you wouldn't be able to do this. All of a sudden, for me, it's turned back around. I like the fact that I have this equipment because I did that thing. I like the fact that my apartment is this way and it's something I'm building for. I love the fact that I can be a better player and kill better because I've leveled up my Godstone, because I have put all this enhancement on my equipment. It's almost like I've done a 180 on this. And so the thing about Skyland is you are also building. When you complete certain quests, and I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but you are contributing to the atmosphere of Skyland. And as you contribute, you're building. And that's wonderful. But if you aren't building with someone, it's great for me. It's perfect for me because I am basically a solo player. I love playing with other people. I enjoyed my whole NeoWare, the Sunshine Quest. I enjoyed doing that with people and running with and seeing the same people. But with Skyland, it's going to be completely different because when I go in now and I'm with someone who has not gone in, we're going to see different things. In fact, in some ways, it's phased. So I love that part, but yeah. So on Thursday, I played some more. I didn't want to stop, but I did get off because I needed to take a break. It was overwhelming. It was wonderful. And I wanted to think about all the things I had learned. So I logged back in on Friday. And Friday, I decided to try something. I decided to do something a little bit different in that I wanted to get on my Steam account. Now, I should, on my website, do a chart. I'm going to do that on the Ctrl WoW website about my different tunes because it can be confusing. I did start out on Steam and Oculus on my headset, and so my characters are different. And of course, I am an alcoholic, so it is appropriate that I have these two different sets of tunes. The biggest difference is that my tunes on Steam aren't I think I have only 140 level. And they also have not completed the agent rank. On some of them, I did manage to complete the Skyward Summit. And the first thing that happened, though, when I logged into my Steam account, was the one toon who, when I logged into her on the tutorial, she kept getting the Zenith adventure challenge completed on the agent rank, and I thought it was a glitch. Well, it turned out that she had that problem with the agent rank guide not working, and once I logged into her on 1.3, it fixed, and she ended up getting a whole bunch of stuff and leveling, and the agent rank went up. And so she's now able to do some more of the agent rank things. But the other thing that happened was I went over to housing and I clicked on AprilPvd because, that was my account on Steam as well. And I went into the house, because you go into the house by clicking you can go in the house by going home, but there was also a list of houses. And I was like, wait a minute, this house has already been bought. What happened? I don't remember doing this. And then I realized foolishly that I had gone to the house on my other account. It was really silly. When I realized I thought that was a glitch. I was like, why is this house finished? Why is this wall? Because I'm doing something in my head where I don't want to change too much about my Steam account house yet, because I want to save it for doing a tutorial or for comparison and just for interesting sake. So once I figured out what I'd done, I went back and got into the house for my Steam account. But on the way to the house, I passed Mika in the Nexus, and I always avoided Mika in the Nexus. First of all, I feel sorry for her. I know it's silly. She's like, hey there, hey agent, come over here. And I'm like, no, you don't have anything for me. What she normally has is level 1 weapons, because when you start your new roll over, you don't get another set of weapons. You're not going to the academy. You're not going to be starting over again in Underside if you're what I call the legacy character. And so she would give you new weapons, new level 1 weapons, because you can go into switch your roles and find gear for your lower level roles. I mean, I did a tutorial on that if you are going to switch your roles, and before you switch, go look for lower level gear on your higher level toon. That way you don't have to walk around Zenith naked. But so she gives you, but there's no way to get lower level weapons, at least not level 1. So she gives you level 1 weapons. So I always avoid her. But I was on my level 32 toon, and I happened to head toward the housing district, and it popped up that she had another quest for me, and that was the Castle in the Sky, which I didn't know she had that. It said come back at level 38. So I did actually go back on my other toons when I was level 38 and got that quest. So that's funny that I had been avoiding her. So I went in, looked at my house, and I found something, and I'm going to do a YouTube video on it, and I hope I don't get in trouble. But I realized that you can pay $5,000 for an apartment. But when you go in, there's furniture worth way more than that. So you could go in and buy all the furniture in there and definitely have more than you started with. But you could also use the house to transfer money to your other tunes. I don't know why you would want to do this other than housing. Or if you just had a tune that needed more balls, that was a lower level, didn't have enough Pokemon ball or pet collecting balls, or needed money to upgrade equipment, then you could go in, buy some furniture that's a little bit expensive, leave it there, and then log out and log in on your other character, and that character could then come in and buy that. And once they exit the home editing, they could have that money. But, it's not such a big deal. So now we're up to Saturday. Oh, God. I learned so much. I'm having so much fun in Skyland, collecting things. I'm enjoying grinding. I love mining. The exercise in mining and chopping down trees is just the extra thing I needed, in addition to blade mastery, to help me get steps and get exercise. It started off kind of weird on Saturday, though, because I like to keep my apartment open. So you can choose, when you go in, there's a list of people who can access your apartment. Friends, guild members, and people that you're in a party with, and then others. So if you don't want to be bothered, then you could deselect those, and then no one could. And I learned this, that you can still come in even if they're all unchecked, but they can't get past the first room, which is, I guess, okay. Actually, when I found that, I went back in and I edited my first room so that you can't see the rest of the rooms. So, but I loved keeping it open, because several times over the past few days, people had popped in. You can, when you're downstairs looking at the list of apartments, you can see who is currently in an apartment on the server that you are in. You could still see other people's apartments. Say you wanted to go see someone else's, or you want to see my apartment. You can go to AprilPvd. I think there'll be two of them. AprilPvd with caps is my main one. And I think it's AprilPvd asterisk. And then AprilPvd on all lower levels would be my Steam account. So on any server, you can go to anybody's apartment. But if you're on a server that someone is in their apartment, it will show how many people are in that apartment. 1 person, 2 persons. So you can pop in and see what people are doing. And the first thing I did in any apartment was buy the balcony. That's the one on the right facing when you first come in, and delete that speaker because the music drove me crazy. I appreciate the music. In fact, I was in KT's apartment and he had the music going and he really liked it. But if you delete those speakers, when you're actually buying back them, then the music stops. But so I was working on my bedroom. And I was fooling around with wall pieces and the window, and I was trying to put a doorway in, but you really can only put the doorway in so that it's open. If it's closed, you can't get in the room. So I was fooling around with that. And I decided to make an archway because of, I think it was Red Devil Studios. He made a archway that looked really nice. And then I noticed that some pieces were overlapping, causing a little artifact. And I'm trying to fix that in. And then a kid popped in. I can't tell you what age. He was just a kid. He might have been 10. He might have been 12. He might have been 13. But, yeah. He was like, oh, what do you have here? Oh, what is this? Oh, can I get a room in here? Oh, look, I'm hanging from the crystal. Yeah. I mean, kids are wonderful. Yeah. But yeah, he wasn't doing anything really bad. And I just went on. I was streaming. Uh, so Josie, who was watching the stream, was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this kid." He jumped on the bed. He was singing. He was repeating things, and then he asked me to explain some stuff. What was I doing in this room? I was trying to be patient because I always, and I've said this before, I feel sorry for kids because if they are in VR by themselves, it means somewhere a parent said, here's this $400 device, put it on, leave me alone. If I had a kid, we would each have our devices on at the same time. Anytime he was in VR, I would be in VR. But, it is what it is. And then all of a sudden, there was a voice saying, are you talking to someone? And I was like cringing because I was working on my bedroom. I'm glad I was streaming because if anything happened, he says, are you in what room is that you're in? And I was like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden he was gone. At first I was like, oh my God, that sure did look bad. And, I can't help it. I was working on my bedroom. I was trying to figure out the crystal placement. I was trying to figure out the wall. I was trying to figure out the corners. Anyways, that was that was really funny. So I ended up going, that was when Josie tried to join me, but her game was glitchy. She was having a hard time hitting using the multi-tool. And I was trying to show her how to use the grappling hook. When you first see the grappling hook, when I first saw it, I thought it was a screwdriver. But then once you understand the potential, and yes, there is not a guide for the multi-tool, but there is information. A lot of it you have to read the quest text, which I know a lot of people don't look. I'm guilty of that sometimes. But once you get the hang of the grappling hook, it is amazing. There's all these little things hanging, diamond ring shape, diamonds inside of a ring for you to point the grappling hook at, hold on to it, and swing. The biggest thing is you have to hold the button down. If you let it go, you're going to drop. It also depends on your stamina, and it is amazing. So I just wanted to try to show her that, and I was going to show her something in my home, and yeah, she got disconnected. We got lost. We got separated. So, and when she was mining, she was hitting first she couldn't see the circle, then she was hitting it and it wasn't hitting right. And then she couldn't hold it properly. It kept jumping away from her. And so I was telling her to put it back in your inventory and then put it back on you. And ironically, I saw somebody who was wearing the multi-tool, and they didn't have they had one blade and their multi-tool in their side. I was like, you can just pull it out of your bag. You don't have to keep it in a weapon slot. But yeah, so that was, there's a lot to it. There's a lot to learn. And I think the fun part is when you figure out stuff. So I like the fact that they're not like just feeding it to us, that you have to experiment. You have to try the multi-tool. You have to try the grappling hook. And then I opened up the chef part, and I realized the dumplings was one of the things that you could make for your home. And I was excited about that. I like the fact that you can make things that you can leave in your house. So I got pumped, and that became my goal, to make this dumpling thing. Well, the first thing you had to do was get the cabbage. How do you get the cabbage? I've never seen the cabbage in the wild. In fact, there are several ingredients. There's hot peppers and there's eggplants that you can't find anywhere else in Zenith. Well, you have to use, and I'm going to call it the community garden, because it is a community garden. You help build it, and it has a timer on it, and if you go in and put in the right materials, you can grow your cabbage, you can grow your eggplant, but you only have it for 5 minutes. And so you have to go in, you have to be right there, and you have to pick it. And the hardest thing I learned was that if you do activate it to grow one thing, someone else can come along and take it because it's there for the growing. And so you have to stay there until you finish picking, and hope that other people don't take your hard-earned garden stuff. So I worked hard, and I finally got it to enough nuggets. Nuggets are the currency that's going to allow you to do a lot of things, and a lot of different. The vendor wants your nuggets, constructor nuggets they're called. The Blake wants it to give you orbs, and there's just other places where you can deposit nuggets to help build things, to set up signals. There's a lot of new currency you're gonna have to learn, but I managed to grow my dumplings, my cabbage, and I was able to make the dumpling and put it in my house, and it then becomes a source of a buff for not just you, but all of your characters. So that was a big learning experience. And I have, that was on Saturday. On Sunday, and the last couple of days, I have been doing so much more. They also, one time I think it was Sunday, they let out an announcement that they were shutting the servers down, and they brought it back up within 15 minutes. I didn't even have time. I went to walk my dog, and I came back, and the servers were back up. The stability is so much better. And as you progress, you go further into Skyland. I finally found some more jellyfish I caught. And there's a new tier to catch. And this tier, instead of increasing your stamina, this one increases your health. And there are a lot of events that give you supplies. So the whole thing is you're building this Skyland, and you're using these supplies, and you're helping the community, you're helping build stuff, you're helping fight off the evil whatevers, interlopers. There's a new agent rank called Skyland Summit, and there are things you can get from there. There's these sky seeds that you need. In fact, I'm very excited to get back in to do some more grinding and farming for more stuff to get my sky seed, and to build the next setup of this sensor I have to build on top of this mountain. And there's a quest board that you have to first build, and then it will give you quests. And I'm really loving everything they've done. The only thing that happened to me, and I was very, very shocked, all of a sudden I was freezing when I had to make big leaps. Like they have these spears over the beginning area that you have to jump on to complete a quest. You have to do scouting on that. They're called aqua spears. But they're way up, and the way to get to it is to go to the top of the mountain, jump down. All of a sudden, the jumping was freaking me out. All of a sudden, I felt like I was scared. I was literally scared. A couple of times, I jumped out and then swung back around. This had never happened to me before, and I was alarmed at myself. I mean, I had been jumping out in Population 1. You're always jumping off of things, and I think that part of the thing might have been that the graphics were upgraded. They did cut back did eliminate the ability for people with Quest 1 to access the game, which makes sense. If you're still playing on a Quest, first of all, if you're still playing on a Quest 1, I can't believe it still is together. My Quest 1 was, I think I had duct taped it towards the end. And, it's understandable. There's a lot of companies that are now saying we can no longer support the graphic inabilities of the Quest 1. So I think this has something to do with it, because when I jump out, I'm like feeling, but I finally overcame it, because they had me jumping on the aquasphere 3 times this weekend. And I was like, each time I wanted to go back. I know I needed to go back because there's a tier. It's called the Telos tier. And I couldn't grab it the first 2 times, and I finally got it. And it really felt good to overcome that fear. If you have tried it, tell me, do you have any fear of jumping? Because you do have to do a lot of like big jumps. And, you have to also, there's a pillar right near the camp that you have to get on top. And that took me a long time. It took me some time to figure out how to get up there, because you can't climb it. There's not enough stamina. I did bring out my dazzling fairy fly, who gives me a stamina buff. And I found that using the grappling hook, swinging way up, I could land up there, because you do have to go up there to scout, and there are chests. I've noticed something else too, that the chests do seem to respawn more than just once every server reset. So I'm wondering if that's a thing, because chests give you a lot of ingredients and you do need stuff. So yeah, I am enjoying this so much. I really think that Raymond VR has knocked it out of the park with Skyward Summit patch 1.3. And I'm just really enjoying myself with this. I did a thank you to Ramen VR as a short on my YouTube channel, AprilPvd. And Lauren Fraser thanked me. I'm so excited. She's the Chief Technical Officer. That was really thrilling. So, yeah, thanks everybody for listening. And let me know if you are enjoying Zenith as much as I am. And I do want to close on my normal personal note. I am playing, the other thing I'm doing, HoloFit. I had to, because of my budget concerns, I had to narrow down my VR workouts. I had Supernatural, I had VZ Fit, and I wanted to try Les Mills, but I really have to keep everything tight because I'm retired and my rent went up. But 2 things are really happening. Really, the HoloFit I really love. It's $12 a month. I think when I save up some money, I'm going to go ahead and buy the yearly one. But I'm putting up a video this week on my latest fun in HoloFit, because I can use HoloFit. It's it's more flexible for me because I can use it both on my elliptical, which I love. There's just something really good about using the elliptical and moving through space in the HoloFit environment. And as much as I really enjoyed VZFit because you could use Google Maps to go to different areas, it wasn't as immersive because of the way the Google Maps worked. It would take me out of the feeling a lot. But the people at Haladia with HoloFit has set up such a good system where they have made it graphically beautiful, and they constantly come out with new areas. The one going through Paris is so wonderful. There's an undersea one. There's one in the Arctic. In the cyberpunk one is really good, but they also do something different where you can use your controllers to simulate walking or rowing or pedaling, and that gives you a little bit of a variety. They have a combo thing, and that's one of the things I'm highlighting in the video I'm putting out today on my YouTube channel, where it's you doing the walking or the skiing or the cycling with your hands, and then you stop at these stations and there are different routines you do where you're using your body and you're working out, and it's very immersive, and they do an excellent job on it. So I'm glad I chose HoloFit. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is I just 2 days ago I celebrated my 2-month alcohol-free lifestyle, and it has been wonderful. In fact, one of the things that it has allowed me to do is the exercise. I really was not able to do exercising as much as I wanted to because of the effect that alcohol was having on my body. It's weird to talk about it because it's like attacking someone's sacred thing. Alcohol in the world is treated completely different from any other substance. And now that I have put it behind me, it's just weird to even think about how insidious it was. So I just want to talk about that. I am happy to be 2 months free. I am enjoying my new lifestyle, and life is good. In virtual and out. Thank you for joining me. I hope to see you. I'll be with you next week. Please check out the show notes at CtrlAltWow.com. And also, I'm on YouTube as AprilPvd and on Twitch as AprilPvd. I also have been streaming other things on Ctrl Alt-Wow VR as well, so check that out because that's kind of fun. I was at VR Podcast, I think. I'll put the link in the show notes as well. And you can also write me at CtrlAltWow.com and tell me about your VR experience. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.
Hey, you.
Over here, Agent.
Slayer. Yo, what's up?
Hey, over here.
Cursed one.